So normally I plan out my videos kind of well and, write these long transcripts that I read from. But today I'm so irritated with something that happened that I wanted to just make a, quick rant video off the cuff talking about this phenomenon that keeps happening to me that like I can't seem to figure out how to fix it other than cutting like tons of people out of my life entirely. And the issue I'm having is these people with an ironic sense of humor, who, can't take anything seriously. I mean, it's like you can't talk about anything around them without them turning it into a joke and like mocking people's pain and mocking you for caring about it. Um, so like a while ago, I have this friend who we would go to karaoke together, and he was like fun to hang out with and everything. We had fun at karaoke, but once it got to Facebook, and like, it's no secret that I'm an activist and I do a lot of research on oppression and systematic oppression and all of, these things that I take very seriously and I care a lot about, and I try to spread information, in a lot of different ways, but one of those ways is Facebook. So, it's no secret to anybody that I'm an activist, that I care about these things. And there are just certain people who like can't accept that and mock me for it. People who are supposed to be my friends, people who otherwise I'm cool with and otherwise I have a lot of fun with. It's like the second I get on Facebook, they just treat me like I'm a jerk for caring about things and for talking about them. They act like I'm preachy, like you can skip over whatever I say. If I'm posting an article about something, you can skip it over it. You don't have to read it. If you're not comfortable um, challenging yourself in what I'm talking about, then just skip it. It's not that hard. But these people, they have to read everything that I say and challenge everything I say, and then say things like, bait me into these arguments. And then the second that, I've taken all this effort, I've found all these sources to, prove my side of the debate, and I really thought out what I was going to say to them to show them, like, no, but this is a real problem, and blah, blah, blah. They then, troll me. They're like, oh, I was just trolling, like, or TLDR, or I was playing devil's advocate. I don't really, like, feel this way, blah, blah, blah. And, well, it's not that they say they don't really feel this way, but that, they don't care anymore. They just want to beat me in the argument and waste my time and run me in circles. And so that's part of the reason I have this sort of comment policy where I don't have the time or patience to be run in circles by trolls and by devil's advocate douches and like all of these people. It's just not worth my time. So this guy was one of those guys, and once I moved across the country, we got into this debate about something, one of the many things we always argued about on Facebook, and he finally deleted me. And I was, it sucked in a way because we had fun, when we would go to karaoke, but I really didn't need the headache, so I just kind of like brushed the dirt off my shoulders, moved on. But we still have many mutual friends on there, and there's this one girl who's definitely significantly closer to him than she ever was to me. Like we go to karaoke, but like we weren't close, but we're friends on Facebook. So she would always kind of like his comments when he was giving me a hard time and stuff. And clearly she was more on his side than she was my side, and she clearly doesn't take the thing seriously and doesn't, I don't know. I didn't even think maybe she even liked me that much, but whatever. Like I was just, I add everybody. I keep in touch with people. I try to be. I'm not the most social person, but I try to be friendly and try to give people a benefit of the doubt and try to like, not blow people off, whatever. So we're still friends. Today she posted this thing about this 12-year-old boy who got molested, and the fact that the woman who molested him didn't go to jail. She just got like 18 months probation or something like that. And I agree that that is completely messed up, and that's something that I don't support and I'm very upset by. But the thing was, she framed it in a way of the double standard, like that is so wrong. And the thing that she was saying was that, a woman or a girl wouldn't be told that she was lucky to be raped or molested, which, you know, is, I don't think they're not only told they're lucky, but they definitely face a different kind of victim blaming and ridicule. And then, all these people in the comment section were saying things like, if it was a little girl, then the guy would be rotting in jail, and all the other prisoners would be beating him up and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, you wouldn't. There's a 97% chance that he wouldn't be in jail, because the stats are, out of every 100 rapists, only 3 spend a day in jail. So it's not that it's harder for men to get, convictions. It's that it's hard for everybody to get taken seriously as a rape victim. And I just, I wanted to clear up the misinformation, because I hate when I see, like, these people treating rape as if it's like Law and Order SVU, like that all women are taken so seriously and that they're believed at their word, because they're not. It's incredibly hard for every victim of rape, and every victim sees a different form of victim blaming and rape apology. It's an epidemic in this country that we treat, everybody says that they care about rape victims and they say that they hate rapists, but their actions don't show that. So I brought that up, just, that it's not really a double standard. It's just a different kind of victim blaming that happens to women. And I start talking about rape culture, and I start talking about, well, here's the reason why young boys are told that they're lucky. And it's because there is a group of men who are very vocal about this, idea that men are completely out of control when it comes to their sexual urges, and that they're like animalistic, and that they, want to sleep with everybody all the time, and that, like, they can't get sex, so when they do, they have to jump on it, and that when they do, they're lucky, and they can't turn women down, yada yada. Like, this is this mentality that many men spread and many women accept, because that's what men are telling them. Now, I don't believe this. I know very well that men don't want it from every woman all the time. And that's something that, through feminism and through my reading, I challenge. But the problem is that it's so deeply ingrained in our society by these men who are constantly saying this, and they're saying it as an excuse to get out of bad behavior. We have them being treated from a young age that boys will be boys. This is how they will act. When they're adults, this is how they will act. They are never held accountable for harassment, for groping, for rape, for all of these things, and they use this mentality to excuse that, to get out of cheating, to do, it's awful convenient to say that men can't control their sexual urges when it gets them out of something. But the flip side of that is that there are 12-year-old boys who get molested, and then these idiot men are telling them that they're lucky for it. And then there's these women who are convinced that men always want sex all the time from anybody, who then think, hey, I'm doing this guy a favor, I'm doing this kid a favor. And that is what's causing this. It's not, there's always going to be people who, no matter how poorly we think of rapists and how much we support rape victims, that are going to do horrible things. But we can drastically reduce that by just educating people and challenging people's their opinions of gender roles, and like these deeply ingrained things that are in their minds. And so I was mentioning this stuff because I thought she cared. She said she cared. But when I say this, the friend who had deleted me, who I mentioned before, who's a mutual friend, shows up and says TLDR. And she agrees with him. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You just said you care about this. Here I am telling you this is how we can solve this. This is, I mean, we can't completely fix it, but this is how we can reduce it. We can challenge it. These are the things that are very easy that we can, if you see a guy spreading this misinformation, you say something to him. You don't just allow it to continue. And, giving suggestions to help fix it, and you're blowing me off because it took you more than 10 seconds to read what I had to say. You're trying to convince me you care about this. I don't think you care about this at all. I think you have internalized misogyny, and I think this was a reason for you to crap all over women. That's what I think, gather from her, the way she talks about things, and that's what I gather from a lot of people who seem to want to point out, like things like this that give them an excuse to dog women, but then when you actually like suggest, hey, this is something we could do to solve it, this is something men can do to change how women perceive men, here's all these solutions. Oh no, we don't want to actually do anything about this. Like, I just want to say that I care about it. I want to have the appearance that I care about it, but I don't actually like want to challenge my own, opinions of things. I don't want to actually do anything or call anybody on their BS or like think about it. It's like, what is wrong with these people, and why am I getting mocked for actually like wanting to change it? Why is the fact that I read about it and have, suggestions and solutions and like take time out of my day to try to fix things and help people, why is that so funny, and why is that something that I'm getting mocked for? It's so infuriating to be like constantly surrounded by people who do this. It's like, even just the other day, it's like I got into this big tip with a completely different person who was my friend for a long time when I was younger, and who, back when I used to, be definitely a lot more ignorant and not aware of things, and while he's a good friend to me, it's like he constantly is playing devil's advocate all the time, and constantly like, saying he cares about things like, he thinks that rape is awful, he thinks, racism is awful. But then when I talk about those things, and I talk about the real problems, the day-to-day problems, the potential solutions, he's all over there playing devil's advocate, talking about all this other nonsense and telling me I have white guilt and all this stuff. It's like, it's like everybody wants to say that they're against things, but nobody wants to actually do anything, and nobody wants to support the people who are trying to do things. And it's like, and I keep winding up with these people who they're fun, they're generally fun people, they're generally nice people. It's not that I think that they have like bad hearts or that bad intentions necessarily. Some of them clearly do. Some of them go above and beyond to hurt people like me or perpetuate, systematic oppression. But it's like, they're people who are generally like cool, but then you get on Facebook or you get, behind a computer, and suddenly they just are on you for every little thing. It's like the fact that they have to like think about what they're doing, confront themselves, or that maybe they aren't so anti-racism, maybe they aren't so anti-rape, maybe there are things that they could actually, not even that difficult, that they could do to challenge themselves and to challenge other people. The second you bring that stuff up, it's like, I'm not that against racism, I'm not that against rape, like, and I'm personally struggling because I think the hardest thing about being an activist, and the hardest thing about like caring about things, is the fact that you have to confront people who you care about, confront people that you otherwise want to be around, that confront them in the things that they do, and deal with the backlash of like people who aren't ready to confront themselves. And I went through that process. I've talked about, I was very ignorant in the past, and I always will be ignorant. There are certain things that I have privilege over others, that I will always be ignorant to until I'm not, until somebody tells me, or until I read something, until I know something I can't know. So there are things that, because I'm white and because I'm straight and cisgender, things like that. There are things that I have privilege and that I will, until I know, I will, I can't know. But the difference is that when I hear something, I try to change it. If somebody tells me that something I did was ignorant or hurt them, I try to change it. I want to be a better person. And sometimes it's very difficult. It's very hard to look at yourself and look at the things you've done and the way that you've probably affected other people in your life. I know that feeling all too well, and I know that that's probably what they're raging against a lot of the time, but having to be that person for the people who you're close to, the people you care about, is one of the most difficult things that I go through, because it's not like some random troll that I can just write off. It's somebody who, I've known for 10 years, somebody in my family. It's like this is the part that's hard, and the part that, I can't just disconnect that easily from. But this girl today, I deleted her. I don't want to be dealing with that anymore. Clearly she's not ready, and clearly it's going to constantly be an uphill battle with her, and it's just better to say, I can't tolerate you anymore. But there's other people it's a lot more difficult. And I know right now I've just been dealing with it so much that I wanted to make this kind of rant about it, because it's so frustrating and so depressing and sad and infuriating. And I don't know. I don't know how to deal with these people, and I don't know how to deal with it. And I don't know where this thing came from where it's cool to be horrible. It's cool to mock other people's pain. It's cool to be offensive, ironically. I don't know why this is something that is so prevalent, but it is so just disgusting and frustrating. And it's even worse than the people who are blatantly awful people. At least that person's admitting that they feel this way. These people who I'm dealing with can't admit to themselves that they have these deep-seated biases that they are unwilling to challenge. So, thanks for listening to my very unorganized rant that probably wasn't as concise as it could have been, but I just had to get that off my chest. So, thanks for listening.